Have you ever wondered why extroverted people seem more happy, or why they seem more enthusiastic? Why do they seem more upbeat most of the time? Even the most antisocial elements, like psychopaths and serial killers, can also be punished by solitary confinement. Personalities like such who are supposed to be away from the society, who prefer to stay away from the society, can also be punished with solitary confinement where they're kept away from people. And that is the extent of how social we are. Hi, I'm Ipsita Das. You might know me as Hello Ipsita from Instagram. I'm a personal development coach, I'm a TEDx speaker, and a content creator. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're here, I'm extremely thankful for you. And here we talk about topics like mindset, communication, confidence, and we focus on building a very strong relationship with yourself and becoming the most magnetic version of yourself. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. I've been waiting to say this for such a long time. And thank you for being here, and welcome to the other side. So in 1938, one of the longest studies that was conducted around adult life and happiness was done by Harvard. So they tracked about 268 students across their lifespan. I think it was about an 8-year-old study, like a study conducted over 80 years. And they were trying to find cues as to what makes a person healthy. Now, this was supposed to be a health study, but it turned out, the results came out in such a way that it turned out to be much more than that. What they found out was that there's a direct correlation between your life expectancy and your happiness. And there's another equation, there's another factor in this equation, which is your happiness is directly and very powerfully correlated with the quality of your relationships. Now, we all know that we are social creatures and we are so interdependent, but the magnitude of that interdependence is so high that even the most antisocial elements, like psychopaths and serial killers, can also be punished by solitary confinement. Personalities like such who are supposed to be away from the society, who prefer to stay away from the society, can also be punished with solitary confinement where they're kept away from people. And that is the extent of how social we are. Now, this is interesting to me personally because I do a lot of study around personality traits, and their impact on our happiness, on the quality of our lives. Now, this is what I found. You might have noticed have you ever wondered why extroverted people seem more happy, or why they seem more enthusiastic? Why do they seem more upbeat most of the time? Because one of the main biochemical neurotransmitters called serotonin, we have heard about it, we know what serotonin is the main neurotransmitter that regulates our mood, that uplifts our mood. And serotonin is produced by our brain when it sees us being in connection with a lot of people, when we have a very strong social network. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a work network, it can also be a personal network, but the bottom line being the quality of your relationships is directly correlated with how much serotonin your brain produces, which is also the neurotransmitter that regulates depression. Now, why I'm saying this is when we have a very strong network of people, when the quality of our relationships is really high, the signal that our brain is receiving that I have so many people that if I fall into trouble, if I'm going through something, I can seek help. And this gives us some sense of safety and security that cannot be replicated otherwise. Now, if you're somebody who struggles with making friends, and if you're somebody who struggles with having healthy adult functioning relationships, this video is for you. Do not lose hope. Now, the 3-step framework that I'm about to give you is a solution to all of your social problems. Before I go ahead, one of the biggest things to remember that it's really hard to maintain friendships as an adult. It's really hard to maintain the quality of your relationships as an adult, which is why sometimes we need some extra help and some mental frameworks and tools that will help us to regulate our relationships, that will help us to regulate our own insecurities and our relationship with other people as a result of that. The number one skill you need to have quality relationships is conflict resolution. The biggest factor or the biggest problem factor that we end up coming across in our relationships are fights. We don't know what to do when we fight with somebody that we love, or when we get into a fight with somebody that we want to maintain long-term relationships with. Now, how you handle the moment of the fight, or how you handle or repair that fight, also dictates the quality of your relationship or your friendship over a long period of time. Don't expect to not have fights, but rather focus on repairing those fights. Now, this is a technique that I first came across my favorite book again. I keep mentioning this book again and again because it's been so impactful in my own life and in my client's life, is Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. Now, this is a conflict resolution technique that I came across when I was reading this book 5 years ago. Whenever you're in a fight with somebody that you love, look at that person as either a 5-year-old or an 80-year-old. Now, why I'm saying this is when we start looking at somebody when we're in a fight with them, when we start to look at them as a child, we can look beyond the fight, we can look beyond their behavior and look at their innocence, right? Because at the end of the day, we are all grown-up children. And the child within comes out in a fight, because if the child is hurt, if your inner child is hurt, that's what comes out in the fight in the form of that reactive behavior. So when you're in a fight with somebody that you love, it's very useful when you look at them as a 5-year-old or an 80-year-old. Either you look at the innocence of a 5-year-old or the helplessness of an 80-year-old. Either ways, what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a state of empathy and compassion towards the person that you're in a fight with. And this will help you regulate your own behavior. This will help you regulate your own mindset around that conflict, and you'll be much easier able to overcome that fight. The second step in the 3-step framework is having a maintenance ritual. Now, what I mean by a maintenance ritual is, as an adult, it's very, very hard to maintain friendships and relationships. And there's this entire trend that's going on social media right now that I don't have to stay in touch with you because I'm really busy, and I'm expecting that you as my friend would understand. But at the same time, that's busyness is not an excuse to not nurture your relationships, especially if you want to have those relationships over a long period of time. So having a maintenance ritual is like having one day in the week where you are making some conscious effort to get in touch with your friend. It could be either a hangout or a coffee. It could either also be a video call. So one of my friends, Dana, from my time in New York, so she still lives there. And ever since I moved back from New York, the only way that we've been able to still stay friends and really good friends is that we have this monthly Google Meet ritual where we pick a day and we get on our, we get on our phones, we get on Google Meet, and we chat away for about an hour or two, just updating each other about each other's lives. And why this is so useful is, number one, it takes away the burden from both of you to stay in touch constantly. You might not be the kind of person who can constantly stay in touch with people and maintain that relationship, which is why having a predictable maintenance ritual is extremely useful. And the third and the most important, also one of my favorite tips in this 3-step framework, is to not take things personally. Whenever your friend does something that you are hurt by, just ask, don't assume. The biggest mistake that we make when dealing with fights, or the biggest mistake that we make when dealing with conflicts, when we're in a fight with somebody that we love, is that we assume that we know why they did it. Because if something happens, if I text you and you don't text me back, I might feel like you hate me, right? You might not like me. Did I do something to offend you? At the same time, if you text me and I don't text you back, you might just assume that I'm busy. Right now, the situation is the exact same, but yours and I, both of our responses and our understanding of that situation is so different, which then decides how we are going to behave or what we're going to feel about the relationship moving this point forward. It's always better, if your friendship or if your equation is worth its salt, it's always better to ask and not assume. Whenever you're tempted to take things personally, just remember that hurt people hurt people. So if somebody did something that hurt you for whatever reason, if somebody was rude to you, if somebody was mean to you, instead of assuming that you did something wrong, the safest thing to assume here is maybe they're just not having a good day. Now, I talk more about this idea of not taking things personally in my video that you can watch, where I talk about not sweating the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. I'm going to link it here somewhere, and you can go watch that. And these were my three most important tips that have helped me and my clients over the years to maintain really high quality friendships and relationships. And this will help you for sure. I'll see you in my next video.